so nice of you to tune in today on this cold March day. Just for anybody who is not living in my neck of the woods. 6 degrees this morning. I think it was 5, really, a little earlier, right outside my door. So I would say that's ash cold, right?
Brr.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we are getting to the point of where tired, done. I want it to be spring. And the problem is all of the little buds that came out, on my peach tree and the rhododendron and so on, they all froze. So we're not going to have any blossoms this year. We're not going to have any peaches. It's not.
Don't give up. Don't give up yet.
No, last year it was the same thing. Had a big frost. They had just peeped out, just started to come out, and bam, we got this big frost, no peaches. We had one peach, one out of a huge big tree. So, yeah, I don't know. This weather is crazy. The whole world is crazy. But you know what the nice thing is? Homeopathy and we try to stay always out of the fray. I try to stay with my clients out of the fray of craziness, and homeopathy will always work for you if you select the right remedy. And that's what our show is going to be about today, selecting the right remedy. Also, a little bit about what you can do for a cough, what you can do even for baldness, and if you do have a reaction to any of the vaccinations, we'll talk about that too. So we have a big show, and we're going to go right along after we all said hello to Amnon. Amnon, so nice of you that you're here.
Good afternoon to you too, and thank you. And for those of you who are online and listening and not, I see you, but you are not in the chat, please sign into the chat. And if you want to call in and ask Gisela any question, 919-518-9773 or Computers 2K Voice on Skype.
Yeah. And guys, you know yourself. It's much more fun when you do call in. If you do ask questions, just go on in. Amnon will, if he needs to interrupt me, he will do that right then and say, Gisela, we have a question. And I will answer right then and there. I mean, when can you do that you can ask a practitioner that is well seasoned and well versed in homeopathy questions without having to pay for it, Not that many things in life that we can get for free. So, one of the first things, and I've said that many, many times, one of the things is that I always have with my clients also, they always seem to be what potency and what remedy and does arsenicum really have arsenic in it? I'm going to answer all of that right now. First of all, arsenicum is derived, as every remedy is derived from a natural source. So arsenicum is derived from arsenic. However, the amount and the detrimental effects of arsenic is all really virtually removed. All it does, it gives the immune system that little bit of ting that says, okay, you poisoned yourself, because most of the time we give arsenicum when there has been a poisoning or a malaise that needs to have the same totalitarian symptoms that we would have if we would take the actual thing. So for instance, arsenic can poison you, and it doesn't kill you right away. If you take arsenic, you have to take quite a bit of it, and you have to take it over long periods of time. Then it will eventually poison you and lead to death. But you swallow a little bit of arsenic, you will just get violently ill. You might throw up, you might have stomach cramps, you have joint pains if you keep taking it, you have hair falling out, you can go blind, you can have kidney failure. All of these things will with arsenic. Now, if any of these symptoms you have, a small dose of 30C arsenicum might be able to fix you. Not might be able, pretty much so. I mean, I would stack $100 bill on it. Okay? So here is what you need to do is you need to find out what the totalitarian of your symptoms are. Let's say you feel we're going to talk about coughs today and baldness and so on, but those are more acute situations. When we're talking here about a chronic situation that has been going on for a little while, then what you want to do is you want to say, okay, I have joint pains at times, I have memory lapses at times, but I don't throw up. I don't have any, my stomach feels okay. So arsenicum may not be the right one. I have a good appetite. One of the basic things is if the animal or the person doesn't want to eat. Arsenicum. Arsenicum is one of those things that increases your appetite because it increases blood flow and your vital force in your entire body to fend that off. So what you want to do is you want to give a dose of arsenicum. A dog that had been running around and found apparently some venison. And, especially the larger dogs, they love the wild, the offal and so on that hunters throw away. It's not hunting season yet, but there are people out there who hunt. And they leave the legs and they leave the offal and sometimes the hide, and they just flesh out the meat and take that home and leave all the rest. Now, if you live in the woods like we do, the dogs may find that. And when they eat a lot of it, most of the time they gorge themselves with it because it's so good they don't find it very often. But then they can get very, very sick. Very sick. So this dog has too, and he was lethargic and he was sick. He didn't want to eat, and he was just sort of almost like in a stupor, And you know that when you, like after Thanksgiving dinner, you ate way, way, way too much turkey. Well, then you are like that too. Oh my God, my stomach hurts. I'm really almost in a stupor. I don't want to move. I don't want to think. I don't want to do anything. Well, that happens to a dog when they eat venison outside. So a dose of arsenicum is the perfect thing then. And it will help the animal to get over it. It will help you also over it the next Thanksgiving dinner. But if there has been none of that there hasn't been really, any stomach malaise, or there has not been really that you felt slightly sick, or you could see if the animal feels slightly sick or throws up. If that didn't happen, well, then arsenicum is not the right one. So you see where I'm getting at. You have to have the totalitarian symptoms of whatever is going on. And that is for acute and for chronic. Now, for acute, which is something that just wham, it just started, it just happened, and now you have all these symptoms. Chronic is it has been going on, and you have tried so many other things and nothing has really worked. Well, chronic, what you want to do is you want to give then, start with a lower dose, like a 30C or an 18C maybe. You don't want to start off with 1 LM, okay, which is not the highest, but that is the highest that I use. I'm a classical homeopath, and Buricker and Hahnemann, at that time, they were not convinced that these very high potencies that were made were really working as well. We know now they work even better. Now, what is an LM potency? An LM potency is that the mother tincture that we took that first drop out of has been many hundreds and thousands of times diluted. It has been diluted and diluted and diluted and diluted. And they find that the higher the dilution potency is, the stronger the remedy will work. It doesn't really make sense, does it? Because it does defy all logic. If there's nothing in it, how can it work? Well, our healing force, our immune system can respond to the slightest nick and touch of us. That's why so many people have immune system disorders, because we are bombarding our immune system with so many different things. And often, because it is so sensitive, highly tuned, it can't absorb that, and then it makes us sick because the immune system says, I'm done, I'm out of here, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm not fighting anything else anymore, I'm done. If that happens to you, you're literally done. I mean, that could be totally devastating for you. And that's what happens with cancer and lupus and all of these. The immune system just sort of gives up because the stimuli are so strong and so much of it. So that's why homeopathy is such a fabulous thing, because you can fine tune it. So for instance, I have a horse that has a growth under her belly, and I've been giving Tuya. Well, I started out with 30C, but since she's had it for a while, I'm now to the 1LM, and now I can see that it is going away. Now I can see it is healing. So you want to start, with a chronic problem with 30C. Then you keep on going, because then it becomes less and less. And then you want to give an LM. Now, there are also, when you found the remedy, like for instance, you see these little vials from Byron in the health food store. Well, when you see them, they always tell you it's a runny nose, it's for a cold, or a runny nose, or so on. But if you have a cold, but you have a stuffy nose, then that remedy is not the right remedy for you. Get it? Yeah? So you need to make sure that the remedies you select is exactly the remedy of your symptoms. If you have any questions, ask them now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So that we have that, and there you go. You can experiment with 200C. Sometimes when you're giving a remedy and you're giving a 30C, some of the symptoms go away. So then you say, well, it didn't work. Well, that's not necessarily. You might need to go a higher potency or a lower one. I always try, if I select remedies very, very carefully, and I try to really do exactly, hone in exactly to the problem. But sometimes that, you know, the remedy potency may not be the right one. So I give one lower, see if that clears it up completely. And then if they go a lot more of the symptoms, I give one higher. So if I gave first a 30C, I might then give a 18C or a 9C, see what that does. And then I might give afterwards a 200C. That sometimes clears it up. But often you need to have a follow-up remedy. And the follow-up remedy always has to correspond to the remedy, because many remedies do not follow each other well. We have to consider that too. Okay, so this is not really a homeopathic course, but it's just something to make you more aware of that homeopathy is in many ways, I don't want to say fickle. What is the right word, Amnon?
I don't know. It's
it
not.
Is sensitive. It is sensitive to the symptoms in your body. It is super sensitive. So if your symptoms some of the symptoms are gone with the remedy, and maybe a new symptom cropped up, now you have to redo the whole case and say, okay, now before we had a cough, but now we don't have the cough anymore, but now we have the headache. So now I'm going to rewrite the case again and say, okay, which one of these remedies that I had in mind before has the symptom remedy, the symptom headache in it, but also had a cough in it before. So then when I find that remedy, I give that, and that usually clears it up. So now you know of how possibly to do that. One thing about vaccinosis and vaccination, we've talked about it many times before, but it's now the time of the year, and they're pushing on television right now the shingles vaccination. Well, one of the shingles vaccination side effects is itching, swelling, and pain. Well, what do you think you're getting with shingles? Itching, swelling, and pain. So, right? I shake my head often,
right,
and say, I mean, what?
I mean,
what
I don't
for?
know that it's right. I never had it.
Yeah. Well, they are claiming 1 in 3 people will get shingles, which is an outright lie. Every second or third person that you know would have shingles. Is that the case? Is there every second or third person that you know has shingles?
Not that I know.
No, not that I know of either. And I see sick people. So I don't know where they came up with that one. But there are several about, if you wanted to know more about to vaccinate or not. There are several websites I want to give you. Okay, have a pen and paper there and write these down. One is called www. It's always www, right? Think twice. Thinktwice.com. The other one is 909 shot, SHOT, shot.com. And the third one is VacLib, VACLIB.org. You get a lot more information at these sites about vaccination, especially for babies and animals. I see quite often. I just saw a person who had hip problems, and he went to the doctor, and this was not a vaccination, but it was a shot. He gave him a steroid shot, and he apparently nicked the bone, and now the man is in dire pain. It has apparently infected itself. There was apparently some bacteria. So the man is in and we are trying homeopathy, but I also told him to go and see a doctor and see that maybe he will need some antibiotics intravenously to save the hip. It's gone now for 6 months. And unfortunately, when you go for a long time with something like this, sometimes only severe intervention can help, so not a good thing. But hopefully I can help with homeopathy, and it has already he is already somewhat a little less pain, but let's just pray for that this man will soon be out of pain, not have the pain. And for that, because it is, and I just want to interject that for a second, I've been for some time now, I've been thinking of how can I help people, to educate people more, because really in reality, it all boils down to education. Don't you agree, Sir Amnon?
Always.
Yeah. And that's why we have this show, but it doesn't reach that, it reached a few thousand people, but, I like to reach even more people, and really on first hand. So many people do not tune into a show like this. Please tell your friends if you like the show, okay? Please, because we need to educate more people about how to regain your health and keep your health with homeopathy. But I was thinking of, I will start like almost like a church, which is called the Church of Divine Healing Force, because what is our immune system? It is our healing force, right? And where did we get that from? We got that from whoever initiated the first spark and initiated life. You may call that God, you may call that universe. I call it the universal force, the universal and the divine force. So that's where the name came from. I will have there teachings once a week, and that will be in Port Jervis as soon as we find a place that we can afford. But I believe by the summer, all of that will be. And if you are in our area, everybody is welcome. It is free. It will be a 501c. We do naturally need donations to pay the rent, but it will be, and I believe that if we can do more of these centers, then once this one works around us, I think we can do more good than anything else, because educating yourself of how what not to do is really, in my opinion, even more important than what to do. Okay.
There's a question.
Yeah.
Are there any remedies for plantar fasciitis?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes. And so many people suffer from that. Yes, they are. But here's the thing with that. The plantar fascia wart that is so painful usually has other symptoms. Okay, I could tell you, rattle you off and say, okay, take Rumus Crispus, or do this, or do that. But you may not, it may not serve you well. So it's still free. Shoot me an email. Tell me what else is going on. I will then send you back the remedy that you should be using. Okay? It's not going to cost you anything. Just shoot me an email. And you can shoot the email to either here to that is on Nissan Communication, that is my life dash my will at live.com, or homeopath for me, the number 4 me at live.com. I will answer, and if I know you're going to send me an email, like if you send it today, I'll give you you have the answer by tonight. Okay.
If you click on Gisela's name up at the top where it says host Gisela DiCarlo, that's the email address that it's actually going to. It's homeopath for me at live.
Right. Yeah. And please do. Okay. I would love to help you. My husband had it too.
What is that? He also, what is this?
What? Plantar? Oh, it's a wart that grows not to the outside, but to the inside. And it's usually on the sole of your foot. And the pressure is so severe, especially if they are large. You know, they can go, it's like a pin that goes into your foot and grows into the foot. And the pain is really quite severe.
Is that what they call a heel spur?
No, a heel spur is something that is on the back of your heel, and it's like a little outcrop of calcium. And that can also be very, very painful. Now, you can have a heel spur on your bunion also. That can also be very painful. Yeah, heel spurs can be. All of those are really foot problems. The plantar warts, you don't really get on your hands. You really get on pressure points where on feet, you know. So, but many times there are some other symptoms. Like my husband had a fungus that needed to be taken care of too. So I took that in account, and he also had a kidney problem. So I took that into account, and then I selected the remedy that corresponded to all of them. And you know what? The kidney problem is gone. The plantar wart is gone. The fungus, we're still working on. So, you know, you have to So that's why I said for that, thank you for that question. Shoot me an email. Tell
And
me what else is going on, and I will send you the remedy for it.
all right, and Kathy's asking, and I know I was going to ask you. You keep talking about constitutional remedy. She said, "How do you
Yeah.
determine a constitutional remedy?"
Oh, very good question. Very good question. A constitutional remedy is of your all your likes, your dislikes, what has happened in your life before. Um, let's say you had, as a child, you had a bad accident. Um, but never really, there was really never any that you had any headaches or whatever. It just sort of like you were always never really right. There was always a little something going on. Well, that the constitutional remedy might righten that, balance that, a slight imbalance that started with, usually with a childhood. That's why a consultation with me is usually an hour and a half to 2 hours. And I will ask everything from your childhood on, what even from your parents. You may have in your DNA some imbalances that I am not claiming I'm rebalancing DNA. I'm not claiming that. But if there are any imbalances, a constitutional remedy may just fix it. So let's say my constitutional remedy has changed, and it does change over the years. Okay, it used to be lachesis. I used to be very, very well, I don't want to say jealous, but I always would be like, oh my God, why do they have that and I don't have that? That's a very good indication for a lachesis person. And a little like, lachesis comes from a snake. It's snake venom, really. And it was always I was always a little like, well, yeah, I want this, but now maybe I want that too. Well, after I've taken lachesis for, like, I think about 5 years, I'm not at all like that anymore. That has rightened itself completely. I'm much more at ease with myself, and problems that I may have had before, like, for instance, I always had a little pain in my left breast. It was nothing big. It was just sort of like a little dis-ease always. Well, all of that has changed. Now I am not taking a constitutional remedy anymore. But if I would take a constitutional remedy, I probably would take Rhus tox or Nux vomica, because both of them correspond with my digestive imbalance that I have occasionally. So you see where I'm getting this? It's not something, a constitutional remedy you very likely will not be able to find for yourself unless you are really trained homeopathically, that you really know how to figure that out. Not easy to figure out. So many homeopaths treat only with constitutional remedies. I'm not saying they are wrong. I never say anybody is wrong. I mean, whenever you are trying to help people, well, you're trying to help people. It can't be wrong to help somebody. But I don't. It is in very, very difficult thing always to find the right constitutional. Okay, that's why they have these softwares for homeopathy, where the remedy finders. I don't use any of that. Where you put all of the symptoms in, you put everything in, and then the computer spits out 5, 10, 15 remedies, and then you select the remedy out of that you find is most appropriate. It works for some people. It does. And there are some homeopaths out there, from what I understand, that are very, very good at this. Am I good at finding a constitutional remedy? Depends. Depends on the person and how honest that person is with me. I also have this little magnet finder that I use, and that has helped a lot. It's a quantum resonant testing device that you hold, and it searches your whole body, and then out of that I can tell and say, okay, it seems like you have an imbalance here, maybe in your kidneys, maybe in your blood, maybe in your it tells me everything. So then I can say, okay, why don't we go, on and see if I can help with that. But the easiest, and for the lay person, the easiest is the acute one. You got a headache? You have the headache. You have a cough with a headache. 3 symptoms for an acute. So you have a headache, you have a cough with a headache, you have a stuffy nose. Well, you know what? Kali Bish is probably the one that would fit the best. You cut yourself, you bleed profusely, you use phosphorus. You bang your head against something, you have a black or blue mark, you use arnica. Well, we talked last time about arnica, of how many applications are for arnica. But acute prescribing or acute is really the only way for a non-homeopath who has not been trained and has not studied really homeopathy. I would say a constitutional remedy, to find that on your own might be difficult. Okay. Did that answer the question? Yes, no?
I hope so. I don't know.
I hope so too. All right. Well, good question.
Here's another question that cropped out, and that's Kathy again. Is it necessary to take a remedy between remedies to clear the previous remedy?
No.
And the answer was answered. The question was answered.
Yeah. No, I don't believe in that. And let's say I have given the wrong remedy. I did that once. I gave my husband last year a remedy that made his hands, he had these this winter eczema, and they just blew up, and he had this awful reaction to it. Well, if that ever happens, drink some coffee. Coffee will, most of the time, 90%, it will negate the remedy. That's why I always say, don't drink coffee at least an hour or two before or after you have taken a remedy. You shouldn't really, if you take homeopathic remedies, you shouldn't be drinking coffee at all. Okay. But sometimes, like for me, I can master it. My body is already in tune with that, but not everybody is. So I always say, stay away from the coffee while you're taking the remedy. Then afterwards, go back. In fact, I had a very nice compliment this morning. One of my friends said to me, "You always make it so easy. You don't you don't put so many other things around it. Oh, you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to hang out of your window for 10 minutes and you have to bathe your feet in that for 20 minutes." And she said, it's here, take the remedy. Don't drink any coffee. Call me when it's better or if it gets worse. That's it. Because, if you don't treat people in their ecology, the way they live, they're not going to do it. They're not going to, and it's not going to work. Let me just get very quickly to the coughs, okay? Because this is the time of the year when we have, yeah. Now coughs can be many ways. You have to distinguish between wet and dry cough, hacking, wheezing, all of these, congestion, phlegm that is inside the bronchiole and just won't come out, cough that is triggered by movement, by talking, by change in temperature or laughing. The expectorant may be clear, maybe colored, stringy, frothy, tacky. All these characteristics are important to find the right remedy. And the reason for this will become obvious later when we look at some of the remedies homeopathic use. So I don't know if we are going to get to all of that yet, but we always have next Sunday. But here's what I would suggest. They are about 19 remedies that are that correspond to cough. Now, it's not really that difficult to find 19 remedies. And here's what you do on your computer. You go and you put in Materia Medica Boericke, Boeri, Boericke. Yeah. Okay, Boericke, Ke. You click on that, and there comes the Materia Medica in there. In there, when you go in, it says on the bottom there, repertory. When you go into that, you put into the repertory there, and then a list comes up. Mind, eyes, ears, whatever. If you want to do this yourself, it's a pain in the neck, but you can also go to ABC Homeopathy. That is a little easier, probably. They have a remedy finder in there, and you just put all of your symptoms in there. Click on it, and the remedies that correspond to your symptoms will come up. And then you just have to read the remedy. You have to read the remedy and say, does this remedy, do I have really all these symptoms? Or do I have 2 or 3? If you have less than 3 of the symptoms, the remedy is not for you. You have to have a minimum of 3 symptoms. Now, that does not apply to a very acute thing. For instance, if you cut yourself and you bleed, you take phosphorus immediately. That's it, because it stops the bleeding. If you went to the dentist and you had a tooth extracted and you bleed a lot, you take phosphorus. So that applies then to the acute. Now, treating your cough is you have many options. You can treat your cough by staying away. depending on what kind of cough it is. But usually when it's a cough that is a lot of phlegm producing, you stay away from milk products and so on, because they produce even more phlegm. If you can use an inhaler, not that kind of inhaler with the steroids, but like for instance, you can make a pot of water, throw a few mint leaves in there, or chamomile or eucalyptus, hang your head over the steam and breathe that in very, very much. So that usually clears up a fast oncoming cough that is just sort of like, and eucalyptus works great for that. If you're a smoker, and believe it or not, there's still people out there that smoke. In fact, they've just done a survey and this found that there are more people now that smoke again. I don't know how that can happen, but it seems to be. Then you need different remedies. You need to, first of all, you need to stop smoking. Yeah, rest. Hot chicken soup, I swear by it. No, there is also is here, and I made some notes. That's why I'm reading these things. Is pepper has an antimicrobial effect, but in truth, the ability to soothe coughs probably has more to do with the homeopathic effect of treats like pepper can induce coughing in a healthy person, and so will relieve it sometimes, suffering from a cough. Pepper is best added to raw honey and taken by the spoonful several times a day. It's an interesting fact, right? Black pepper. Very, very good. Chocolates. Chocolate can help a cough.
Yay!
Whoa, yeah. Yeah. Help a cough. Theobromine, a compound found in the cocoa bean, will suppress coughs just as effectively as many cough medicines, but without the side effects. Milk chocolate contains very little theobromine compared to dark chocolate. To obtain effective dose, you need to eat 50 to 100 grams of dark chocolate. Now, you can also do that in a very easy and nice way. You can melt dark chocolate, add enough coconut butter, okay, so that it is almost runny. Make it warm, and then take it by the spoonful. Very, very, very good. Very good for your overall health. You can also use honey for some coughs. Make honey and lemon water. Put a good helping of honey in there, and it also works. The allopathic conventional treatment for coughs usually involve antibiotics and inhalers. I would stay away from both if I were you. There's also many cough suppressants that will, for men, increase prostate size and also will contribute to allergic reactions. Some of the side effects from dextromethorphan, it's all these that have a list of medicines and chemicals, these over the counter. They can contribute to severe dizziness, anxiety, restless feeling, nervousness, confusion, hallucinations, slow and shallow breathing, and some people also experiment an upset stomach and skin rashes. So I don't know if anybody would ever, I mean, I wouldn't buy any of these over-the-counter expectorants or cough medicines for the world. I mean, I just wouldn't. Some of these expectorants and mucolytes that are sold over the counter include ammonia, bromexide, guafenesis, and their related brand names, and they can cause really they can impair the ability for you to function correctly. So you should not be driving with these. You should not be using that unless you want to lie down and sleep. They also cause often sweating, and they also cause often vomiting and headaches. And for children, especially for children, please be careful using any of the over-the-counter remedies that you can find. Do not ever give a child under the age of 2 or children 2 years or older any of these medicines. Okay, now homeopathy and research on coughs, especially. One interesting study, which seriously ill patients on respirators in an intensive care unit showed that homeopathy not only effectively reduced their respiratory secretions, but also helped them come off their respirators more quickly. The length of time they spent on the unit was also shorter and without respiratory complications. There, you got it. It's right there. This was a study done by an independent group. Another study of children with upper respiratory tract infection included coughs showed that those who received homeopathic treatment recovered much more quickly than those who were treated with conventional control in the control group. Now let's go to some of these the remedies that you can use. Now, the one that is really, I find, works best when it's at fast onset. You know, you were fine yesterday, you woke up and you have a cough, you have a stuffy nose, you feel like crap. Aconite, naphthalines. Aconite is for fast onset. It just came very fast on. You were fine before. Now you use aconite in any situation, especially if the situation produces a nighttime cough accompanied by shortness of breath and agitation. You know, like, oh, I can't, you know, aconite. Now, the one that is that rattling, choking cough that is doesn't really have any expirations, but the person has to sit up in order to breathe. For those people, antimonium tartaricum, antimonium tart. That works brilliantly. 30C a dose should help right away. An asthmatic cough can be helped with Arsenicum album. There's the arsenicum again. Now, belladonna will also help that short, dry, tickling cough that with sudden onset and is worse at night. The cough lubricates the throat a little, but it dries out again and causes sudden violent spasm of coughs. There's a tickling, burning, or burning is here the optimum word for belladonna, okay? The sensation in the throat. Belladonna symptoms are aggressive and can include high temperature with a flushed face, staring eyes, swollen glands, and red and inflamed membranes. Now, that can happen to an animal too. So if you have that, you can give a dose of belladonna. Bryonia alba works fabulous for hard, dry cough and soreness in the chest. You know that, and it really hurts the chest when you do that. And you have to hold your chest. Bryonia alba. It usually is an onset of cough when the patient wants to take a deep breath and sighs, but is too painful and are irritable and thirsty and want to be left alone. Those are the ones when you sort of like, okay, get out of my face. I just want to die here. Give them Bryonia alba and they will not die and they will thank you. Calcarea carbonica. It's that tickling cough at night and loose in the morning. And Amnon, I think that might be a good one for you. Calcarea carbonica, if you have that little tickling cough that you occasionally have.
Okay. Calcarea.
Yeah. Okay. Calcarea carb. It has all kinds of other wonderful side effects on that because it, especially when you're getting into the senior age of your life.
That's me.
Calcarea carbonica is a fabulous remedy for all of that. It helps you remember better. It helps your joints to stay a little bit more lubricated, and it's really a very, very nice remedy. Now, Drosera is when you have a cough, a choking cough, like for instance, kennel cough or croup in children. Drosera works really well for that. Now, if you think that it is an infection, your nose, inside your nose is sore, your throat is sore, everything is sore, okay? Not burning, but sore, like inflamed, and more and when you cough, it's almost like choking. Then you use hepa sulfuricum because then you may have a little bit more. That is really the antibiotic in that case that you would be prescribed by your doctor, but which would not really do very much for you. Antibiotica for a cough, except if it is really a, let's say you have, well, your lungs are impaired, okay? Ignatia is also a carb. Ignatia is a very interesting remedy. We give Ignatia predominantly when you had some trauma in your life, mental trauma. But you know what? Mental trauma can cause a cough. Did you know that?
No. Really?
Yep. For people who have, like, they are really, they can have this little, because that is sort of like the sign. It's not really a cough. It's sort of like, help me. Ignatia for that.
All right.
Calibiche, Lycopodium. I think we are running out of time, and I'll finish that list next week. Come and join me again at the Gisela Show. Thank you for all of you who have participated. Thank you, Amnon, for being here, letting me do this.
Thank you.
And please come and join me next Sunday. We're going to finish this list. We're also going to, next week, we never did get to the boldness one. So we're going to do that next week because, believe it or not, they are remedies for boldness if you lose your hair. So all of you guys and women who have small problems like that, write them down, put them into the chat room, send me an email. I will answer. And I wish you a wonderful week. The Gisela Show on Sunday at 12 o'clock here, right here. Bye for now.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section on nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Atomos.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.